Hey everyone, today's video is the intro to my Pan Those Eyeshadows Project Pan for 2021. These are my absolute favorite videos to film and watch. I just think it's so fun. So if you're not familiar with the Pan Those Eyeshadows Project Pan, basically you select a certain number of eyeshadows to work on. Some people just work on them for usage and then other people work on them till they hit pan. When I did this project last year, my goal was to always hit pan on the eyeshadows before I rolled them out, and I'm gonna be continuing that this year. That's kind of the basis of this project. It's pretty simple, but it's super fun. I'm gonna be choosing 5 eyeshadows today, which I am very excited about. And then I will be creating looks with those 5 eyeshadows. I ended up getting a lot of really cohesive color stories when I did this project last year, and so I was able to use all 5 shadows together. But depending on what happens, I might have to kind of just use one or a couple shadows at a time and not be able to use all of them together. I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it's super fun. And my numbers have actually changed quite a bit from last year's numbers, which I decluttered a lot of eyeshadow palettes, but apparently I purchased not quite a few, but I purchased some eyeshadow palettes and single shadows over the course of the year. So they made their way into my collection. So I have a lot of eyeshadow that doesn't really have a lot of usage on it, which I think is exciting because I'm gonna be able to really get to know my collection better, especially the new products that I've rolled in, but also is gonna make this project a little bit more challenging, as you can imagine, if I'm using an eyeshadow that I've only used, you know, a couple or a handful of times or none at all, really. To be honest, there's some eyeshadows obviously that I haven't touched yet just because I bought a whole palette and, you know, it's only been in my collection for a month or a couple weeks or whatever that looks like. With all of that being said, if you are interested, please keep watching, give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and we are gonna get into the numbers first. I have my spreadsheet up on my computer here, so we'll talk about the numbers because I think that's super interesting, and then we will dive into randomly selecting 5 eyeshadows for me to work on. So right now I have 218 eyeshadows in my collection. This doesn't include some loose and pressed glitters and pigments that I just didn't think it made sense to put into this project. So out of everything that I'm currently going to be talking about, it's just those 218. 23 of them are single eyeshadows that I've just either have in a drawer or just they're magnetic pans that I have in like a different palette, and then 195 are across 12 different palettes. And currently I have pan on 15 of those 218 eyeshadows, which gives me a pan percentage of 6.88%, which isn't horrible, but I would love to see that percentage go up pretty significantly across the course of this project. So we will see what happens. Obviously, if I bring in new eyeshadows, that's that's not gonna help that pan percentage, but we will see what we can do with this project and how successful I can be with bringing that pan percentage up and just being able to use more of my collection. So that leaves us with 203 eligible eyeshadows to choose for this project. And so for the sake of my spreadsheet, I'm gonna just be putting into this randomizer app rows 20 through 222, and we are gonna see which eyeshadows I select. So let's do this thing. The first one is 55. So number 55 comes from my Morphe Jaclyn Hill palette, and it is the shade Roxanne right here. We're gonna go ahead and swatch that. Looks like a really pretty like rusty brown red shade. I don't believe I've used this a lot, but I think that's gonna be super nice to work with. So I'm excited about that, and also excited to see a matte, because that always helps when creating looks, especially when we're like randomly picking eyeshadows. It's certainly nice to get some mattes in there, so that's a good start. All right, let's choose our next eyeshadow. 122 is the number. 122 is my Urban Decay Naked palette, which both of these palettes were in last year's Pan Those Eyeshadows project, so that's interesting. And the shade that I chose is the shade right here, which is Naked, which again, this is another great matte shade, a very like light, not super light, but it is a lighter brown. Perfect for a transition shade in the crease. So you can see that one right there. So I'm pretty pleased with both of these. I think we'll be able to create some good neutral looks so far with those. Hopefully we'll get some fun other colors in here as well. All right, we are gonna select our next one, and 158 is the number. So 158 comes from one of my newer palettes. This is the collaboration with ColourPop and Kathleen Lights. This is the So Jaded palette, which I really honestly haven't gotten a ton of use out of. I got this back in late November, but the shade I selected is Diamond actually, which I believe this is one of their Super Shock shadows, which is good because I think these probably dry out faster, or dry out in general versus like a powder shadow. So I'm glad that I'm rolling this into this project. Looks to be more of like a topper shade, not a ton of pigment, a little bit of like on the pinkier side, and then some shine. So you can probably see that when I move my hand. But that is the third shade we are going to be working on. Right, 2 more, so let's select the next one. 189. So this also comes from a newer palette. This again I got around Black Friday. This is the Jaclyn Hill Volume 2 palette with Morphe. And the shade that I selected is this second one right here, I'm In It, which like it looks white, but it pools like pink and purple almost, which is super interesting. So you can see that right there. I like love that shade. I would love to use that like with a pink look, like on the inner corner. So we might have to see what we can do with that one, but super excited to try that one out. Beautiful shade, and I think could be really fun to work with. And like I said, I haven't really used this at all yet, only a couple times, so it'll be good to get some use out of this palette, hopefully just in general if I'm pulling it out for this project. All right, so we are now on to picking our last shade for this project, or for this round of the project. So here we go. And 129 is the selection we chose. 129 brought us back to the Urban Decay Naked palette. I feel like this one is just always gets selected. And the shade that was picked was actually Creep. So I think this one is gonna be a tough one for me. It's a very dark shade. I mean, I can certainly use this as eyeliner or kind of see what else we can do with this. But I think this one is going to be in this project for a while. Just my guess. I think it might be rather challenging, but I'm excited I selected it because honestly, I can't tell you if I've ever used that shade before, and I've had that palette certainly a long time. So I think that is pretty telling there, and you know, gives me a reason to use a shade that's been in my collection for quite some time that I really haven't. And that's exactly why I love this project, because it's challenging in some ways, and it's fun because we're gonna see how we can make these shades potentially work together, or some of them work together, and just kind of see all the different looks that we can do, and hopefully hit some pan within the next month so we can roll in some new shades, but we will see how everything goes. But yeah, that is the 5 shades that I will be working with for this project. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video and just getting to see the shades that are being rolled in to this first round of my Pan Those Eyeshadows Project Pan for 2021. If you did like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Like I said in my last video, I'm so happy to be back and talking to you, so please leave a comment below. Someone actually mentioned that they were interested in doing like a Q&A, so I'm gonna ask for questions in the next few videos, and if you have any, leave them in the comments below and I'll collect them, and maybe I'll do like a get ready with me and answer some questions. So yeah, I've never done one of those before, so if you have any questions for me that you'd like me to answer, please leave them down below and I will do that in an upcoming video. And with all of that being said, thank you again so much for watching. I'm so happy that you're here and that you've joined me on this journey, and we will see how we do with these in about a month. And I will talk to you guys in my next video. Thanks so much.